Hello and welcome to week 13. And this is, of course, Bengal UK's online tailgate. We were the first people to ever do an online tailgate last year, and now we've taken it online so you can see all of our beautiful faces every single week. Joining me today is Pete Danswell. Pete, hello. Good afternoon.
Not so beautiful, Pete Danswell.
No, I wasn't going to go there.
I'm not too bad. How are you, Paul?
I'm okay. It's kind of weird. Obviously, the Bengals play the Dolphins today, and looking at photographs from the stadium down in Miami, it looks warm and sunny. And seeing Jim Foster's photographs and bits of video, he's out kind of catching fish and enjoying coastal life down in Florida. And I look outside of my window, it's dark, it's wet, it's cold, and it's miserable. So it's an interesting juxtaposition, I'd say.
It's a different world. I mean, okay, we're not in the cold Arctic North, and some of our viewers and followers may be in snowbound places, but we had snow the end of last week, and I was thinking, thankfully it seems to have all gone now. But as you said, cold and wet and miserable. The winter has come upon us pretty quickly, and so seeing those sunnier climates do make you think, well, this is just a whole different world. It really is.
What a cheery start to the show. We are going to have some fun today. It's actually a really, really packed show because coming up is about a 10-minute or so chat I did with one of our flock who lives out in Japan. We're going to talk to him how to make hot sauces. I know a lot of you like your hot sauces, and Jim is going to tell you how to do it. We've also got our daily advent calendar installment for today. Yes, we're going to be playing them out across the podcast, the tailgate. I'm mixing my media there. We should get some people joining us. We've also got an exciting competition to tell you about. Yes, we are going to be launching a charity mate competition to raise money for Action for Children's Secret Santa campaign.
There's a lot of people who wouldn't have got that comic reference there.
No, there wasn't. That's one for our Brits, I think, more than anything. What should we start with today?
Can I just say about the Advent calendar? I think they're brilliant. I think they're really good. We get to see many more of our fans, and it's not. I mean, I love them coming across my timeline every morning. I think it's fantastic. And I've noticed that a few other UK NFL fan groups have done something similar to that, and that's great. And it just seeing the engagement of UK and European NFL fans is fantastic.
Yeah, I agree. That's what it's all for, isn't it? And this is why we started something like this. Why we brought it onto live streaming, because we want more of you to be involved. It's all very well me and Nathan doing a podcast and doing that every Monday night, but this is an opportunity for everyone to come on and say hello. So, if you see the link and you do want to pop on and have a chat, then please do. You're more than welcome. And we have someone knocking on the door now. It's Mike Smith. Hello, Mike.
Hello. Knocked on the door. Click the link. How are we?
Who day, Mike?
Who day. Apologies for being late. Oh, the joys of a 2-year-old.
How are you, Mike? Is it all kind of Christmassy, all planned?
We got the tree up. The tree's up. Decorations up. Gone for the real tree again. This year. A little bit 5'1" this year. A little bit smaller. Yeah, it's getting really Christmassy. My daughter has finally realised who Father Christmas is. Presents. More presents is better. So yeah, she's really wound up, ready for the big day. Every day is it Christmas tomorrow, etc. It's also been my wife's birthday last week, so December's an expensive time for me. So yeah.
Mike, I'm glad you joined us today because hello, what's going on there? Yes, I'm glad you joined today because you were at Bengals UK right from the very start, and we celebrated an anniversary yesterday, and it was the 5th anniversary of our first ever official meetup in London in 2015. It was upstairs at the Carpenter's Arms. We watched the Bengals beat the Browns. Do you remember those good old days when we used to blow out the Browns? Bloody hell. But you were there, weren't you, Mike, or were you? I can't remember.
I was there.
What do you remember about that heady evening?
Well, I actually came up from Kent with a friend of mine called Luke Cato. Shout out to him if he's listening. Last I heard, he was living in Moscow. True story.
Okay.
But I remember coming up and I was just thinking, got to the pub because we'd been there a couple of times before, and I thought, oh, we'd be a couple of handful of us. I knew you'd be there, Jamie would be there. But when I got there, and I just saw, 24 grown men shouting and being all manner of things through day. I think there was a young family from Ohio in the corner.
There was.
It was just like, oh my God, what have I done? What have we done? And I know people say like, oh, I was there at the beginning, but if I might have set up an account here or there, but really, it was. I just like to set these sorts of things up and to meet with like-minded individuals and Nathan Palmer. So it was just it was incredible, really. Just the atmosphere, the party-like atmosphere. The lads from Manchester brought it down, didn't they? They brought it large. Scott Gibb, I think he actually got the sleeper down from Glasgow, from Edinburgh, I think at the time.
Yeah.
Phil Hatton, met him. Nice to meet. Nice to meet another Scouser. Blue half though, so we won't go into that, too much of that. Tim Knowles was there as well. I think we had introduced for the first time of Bengal bombs as well too.
Yeah, I believe Tim Knowles bought everybody Bengals bombs, and we didn't realise what they were, and it's kind of a Jaeger bomb and orange juice or whatever, and I think that tipped quite a few people over the edge who were already slightly drunk.
I think it really did, didn't it? And it was actually Manziel's first game for the Browns at the time, and I think I might have got him wrong, but I sure remember Carlos. Yeah. Coming into contact with Manziel, welcoming him to the floor, and then doing the money sign in front of him. Yeah, I think he may have got flagged for that, but it's my distinct memory of that game. I can't say I remember too much about us marching up the field and scoring, because quite frankly, it was one, I was making sure that I wasn't being like battered into submission, or at least in the small room in the pub. But at the same time, it was just the Browns were just so bad then. It was so much better.
If I remember, it was an example of really great match or game planning by the Bengals, which is unusual to say, because they worked Manziel out straight away. Manziel always escaped the pocket in one direction, so they flushed him out against his wishes in direction he didn't want, and he was sacked so many times. And again, that was my endearing memory of Carlos Dunlap with the old money gesture that Manziel made famous. I mean, talk about a bust of all busts, Johnny Manziel.
Not the first the Browns have had, hasn't it? Really, so it's been good. Mike, I mean, I think we all wondered how many people were going to turn up for that first ever meetup, and it was quite heartening. And I do have a video from that meetup, so let's have a watch of this.
3 times this time. Already, let's break it down. 1, 2, 3. Who they? Who they? Who they think they'll beat the Bengals? Who they? Who they? Who they think they'll beat the Bengals? Who they? Who they? Who they think they'll beat the Bengals? No!
What a bunch of absolute reprobates there. Nathan Palmer, I seen in the middle of all that trouble as per usual. And Rosie, now wife Rosie, and Matt Cattrall was there. And I think, and you mentioned the family from Ohio. This is the one thing that always kind of astounds me when you put stuff up on. It shouldn't really, but it does every time. Every time you put something up on social media and say, "Hey, we're going to meet here. We're going to meet," there's always like one complete. Like you said, Mike. A bunch of people will turn up, right? You're the people that you're in contact with the most. It's a given that they will turn up. But then there's always some random person that you've never met before who takes a chance and comes along. And for that first one, there was a young family from Ohio, a guy called Rob Nyhouse, who's back in Ohio now. He got in touch on Facebook the other day, which was amazing. His wife and their little daughter came. And I was sitting there going, oh my God, there's lots of drunken men here. And there's kind of like young family of Ohioans in the back. And I do wonder what they make of it all. But I think they enjoyed it and they remember it fondly. So that's something. Well, I was very worried.
I remember meeting Nathan's dad. Actually, the whole Palmer family turned out. That was I was thinking, oh, that's where he gets it from. That was
perhaps it's less of a surprise now to our American friends, but back then it would have been such a shock, such a surprise to see a small gathering of like-minded Bengals fans thousands of miles away from Ohio. So,
I think that's why people go nuts. Whenever I've always found that, because you tend to, I do watch my games on my laptop on my own more ordinarily than not. And then when you do get together in a room full of fellow Bengals fans, it's almost like excitement overload because you can actually talk to other people who know what you're talking about. And it's crazy, But
Americans will take for granted what, not necessarily going to the stadium to watch, but sitting watching with their mates. And they'll take that for granted. This is just the way football is, way sport is. Well, for us over here, sadly, it's not the case when it comes to American football. So the occasions when we've been able to meet for a game, it's just been fantastic.
As I say, it is the 5-year anniversary, so we decided to do something a little bit special to commemorate that. And Mike, I don't think I ever dreamt that we would be doing this 5 years later, or podcasts, or meetups, or brewing beer, or whatever it might be, whatever daft little stunt that we can come up with. Do you know what I mean? It's been fantastic, hasn't it? Really.
It has been. It's been incredible. It's gone well beyond any of my wildest dreams. Really, like I said, my goal was just to set up a group to meet like-minded Bengals fans, and let's see how it organically grow. And it's just been absolutely incredible how you meet one person and says, "Do you know this guy who's a Bengals fan, or do they know someone?" And all of a sudden, then you've got a whole network across the country. I mean, also think about the drafting, going up to Sheffield to follow the draft as well. The meetups in Manchester, the meetups in Sheffield. I think we owe a meetup possibly in like Scotland or Wales, don't we? As when the madness is over. But for a team with the history of the Bengals, who traditionally speaking don't win a lot, we haven't half got an absolutely a fantastic fan base. But I've been thinking, supporting the Bengals is actually a match made in heaven for British cynicism. And hear me out. I mean, because the Bengals find new and different ways to lose or to do things more or less every week, whether that's winning games or preparing for games or what comes out in Cincinnati. For example, like the likes of Joe Burrow's busting his knee, awful story. The first thing I thought about, because it's Cincinnati, gosh, I hope they actually operate on the correct knee. And while that's like that should never happen in the professional world because of like cynicism, like it's the same old Bengals, but we love them and we love going and meeting up with the mates. We find that incredibly funny. Whereas it's someone like the Steelers or the Packers or the 49ers, traditions of success and that sustaining it over the years, they would just not find the any sort of humor in that whatsoever. So I think as a team, we promote we bring out the very best and the very dry and the very sarcastic sense and very humorous way in a fan group. And we're actually loyal. We're probably loyal to a fault to this team, but we love it because, quite frankly, what else are we going to do? And you wouldn't have it any other way. So I actually think full play to Mike Brown and the way he operates the team. But fair play to Zach Taylor and the way he's coaching.
That's the most backhanded compliment I've ever heard, Mike. It really is.
Mike, I agree with you wholeheartedly, but the use of humor is a defense mechanism because we go through so much. So we just find the funny side. Just give me 5 years, 2 years of success, a successful team. Before we went on a game online, Paul and I were talking. I was lamenting my own soccer team and football team, both of them doing poorly for over prolonged periods of time. And my wife was saying, why do you put yourself through it? Just because. And you're right, we seem to migrate to these times lost causes, and we seem to be masochists for it all. But I guess
supporting people who win is boring, Pete. Come on.
Liverpool won the league out of cancer, and quite frankly, it was boring. It was just, oh great, I've got to share it now with tens of millions of other people.
Well, Mike, we are going to cut you off because let's bring in first-time caller. This is what it's all about, meeting new people. So let's bring in Roland. Roland, how you doing?
Hooday! How you doing, Chad?
Hooday.
Now then, Roland, why have I not met you, and where are you calling from? Tell us all about you.
Okay, so I've been to both Bengals games in the UK.
Very good.
And I didn't go to the Admiral last year, and I didn't go to the meetup. So sorry, chaps, really busy that year anyway.
Yeah,
I've been watching the Bengals since Tim Cromwell broke his leg in the Super Bowl in '89, and I felt
okay. Well, this ties into our conversation, doesn't it? Why the hell are you supporting the Bengals? Because we've just said it's a tough old road, isn't it? Sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know. I went to this first America Bowl in 1986. So the Dallas Cowboys.
What did you see? Montana and Marino? Was that Montana and Marino?
No, it was Cowboys versus Giants. I think. Can't remember. '86 in Wembley Arena, Wembley Stadium, 1,000. And I watched all the way from the Channel 4 from the early years, but I watched every Super Bowl. And Cincinnati Bengals, just I don't know. I felt sorry for them. Stanford Jennings scored a 100-yard or punt return, didn't he, or something like 89-yard punt return.
Come on, Stanford.
Tim Cromwell broke his leg, and then Montana broke our hearts.
That's all right. Well, yeah, one good thing and then 2 breakages in that game, I think, wasn't there? So where are you calling in from, Roland?
I'm from Epsom, so...
okay. Well, hopefully we will have some meetups next year, both down south. And, I mean, I'm quite tempted, the year that we've had, just to hire a big Bengals UK happy megabus and just travel around the country and just go to different...
I must admit, Paul, I've been listening to your broadcast every Monday night for well over a year, making loads of commentaries, and I follow everyone on Twitter, and it's been amazing just because you've got loads of time this year. And I should have gone to Admiralty last year. Should have met you all. I did go to the pub at Baker Street on the Sunday before the game. I think I met Scott Gibb, the Scottish guy, who was collecting glasses because he felt so sorry for the.
Well, that is the pub. That is the pub meet that we shall not be named, because basically I arranged that without telling the pub, thinking that it was only.
I think I met you, Paul. I think we chatted. Briefly.
Oh,
I was
mate,
chatting to
an
IO couple who'd never been to London before, very young.
Okay.
And they're asking me the same questions. Why the hell do you support the Bengals? You've got to start somewhere, haven't you? And I don't know. I just love the Boomer Esiason years. I got into the Icky Shuffle. All that you watched, and then I don't know. Ever since the last 5 or 6 years since it's been back on BBC, I got more and more into it. Really.
No, that's cool.
So I've been to every game. I go to the games, all the international games, but seeing Jeremy Hill score a couple of touchdowns against Washington in 2016. But I only just joined Twitter. This is the thing.
Okay.
I only joined Twitter about 18 months ago.
Well,
And
good.
And then you start following all the personalities like Bengal, Captain Bengal.
Bengals captain, Jeremy and Jim and all those guys.
Into it. You get draws you in. It sucks you in.
It's a good community, though, right? It's a good community with lots of good people, I think. Tom McDowell says it's 1.2 years since the volunteer meetup. Never forget. And that references the pub that you were talking about, Roland, because I say that still haunts me in my dreams, I think, because I had no idea that many people were going to turn up naively. And then the bar staff were just going absolutely nuts because of the amount of people. I think diners in there walked out because they weren't getting their food in time. So yeah, it was pretty.
Yeah, but I think you were collecting glasses, Paul. That's the thing. And we were chatting. You were like, "I'm helping the bar staff." There's literally one person on behind the bar.
I know.
Too. And
mate, honestly,
struggling. But it was such a great weather day. We're all there. You all left early to go and do the shout. So I was there trying to meet a few other friends who were late.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we knew we were going to get a bit stuffed against the Rams. Poor that game was just, Dalton's one of Dalton's worst games, I'm afraid. But just
yeah, there we go. What can you say? Anyway, he's back. He's back at CBS next week, isn't he? So.
Yeah. Next week is going to see whether he's going to be, which Dalton will turn up. To be honest with you,
probably the good one. No look. But anyway, Roland, we're going to have to let you go because we've got so much to get through, mate. But thank you for calling in. Do it again.
I've
everyone around the country. So
how to do it. So I'm a bit of a Luddite, I'm afraid.
No, you've done well. You've done well. You've done well. You passed the test. You're on. And we'll look out for you on Twitter. As you can see, is that your Twitter handle there, Roland, at Hog Roland?
I think it's Rowley at Hog Roland. I can't remember.
Okay. Well, look out for Roland. Nice to meet you. Well, nice to see you again, Roland.
And I will come to meet up when we're all COVID free next.
Yeah, watch out for 2021. There'll be meetups galore, I think. Yeah. Okay, mate. Good to see you. Thanks for calling.
Bye bye.
Bye.
There we go. I like that. Just random people calling in.
Paul, did you go to any of the American Bowl games?
No, I didn't. I had a couple of mates who went, and can you believe this? They were pre-season games, but because of the they were trying to break a new market. Obviously, I mean, some of the players. I mean, unlike pre-season games, the main players played pretty much the whole game, or at least sort of, 3/4. So you had like the 49ers versus the Dolphins. So that was like Montana versus Marino. And mental, absolutely crazy.
I went to one. It was my first live NFL game, and I took my then girlfriend, now my wife, and we went to watch the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Cleveland Browns in 1989. I just remember it being a really, really dour game.
Right. You must have seen Randall Cunningham, Reggie White, who was the other fantastic defensive tackle for the Eagles who died. Anyway, I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, you must have seen some great plays there.
I genuinely don't remember any of those. I mean, it was more the occasion and taking my wife there and the first live NFL game. I just remember it being a dour game, very wet. It got the sense the players didn't particularly want to be there, but it was great to see. And that was, of course, in the old Wembley Stadium. For the American viewers, the stadium was subsequently rebuilt to the modern stadium it currently is now. But that was an old stadium then. But it was an experience to watch American football on our shores on that occasion.
Very much so. Before we move on to the next item, I mentioned that we're going to be having a charity raffle, and it's all going to be online. So I'm hoping to post it up tomorrow. And this is all because we thought, we'd try and do something special to commemorate the 5th anniversary of our first ever meetup in London, which you just saw a video of. We've got some fantastic prizes, including this. The top prize is this poster. And as you can see, it's autographed by the entire rookie class of 2019. So there's Jermaine Pratt and there's Jonah Williams. Of course, the draft was in Nashville, Tennessee, and as you can see here, it was actually that's useless, isn't it? Showing that, but it's designed by the legendary Hat Show Print. What's it called? The Hat Show Print Shop, which is. I'm lucky enough to have gone to Nashville before. I've been to that shop. It is incredible. So we've got this extremely rare signed poster to give away. We have a unsigned version that's in here, and also a cap to. Well, where's the camera? A cap to give away as well. So 3 separate prizes. All you have to do is buy a raffle ticket. I think I'm going to set them at £2.50 each. Even if you think these prizes aren't for you and you couldn't give a monkeys, go on and buy a few tickets, because, as I say, all the proceeds go to Action for Children's Secret Santa initiative. And basically, it's, as it sounds, it helps young and vulnerable children at this time of year who are struggling to get a roof over their heads, who come from broken homes or suffered horrific abuse and aren't getting any presents this year. It sounds super kind of pulling at the heartstrings and whatnot, but I think it's a really worthwhile cause. It's not just presents. The money might go to helping them have a meal on Christmas Day when they perhaps wouldn't get one. So even if these prizes don't seem up your street, go on, and if you can afford it, because obviously everyone's had a tough year money-wise this year, if you can afford to buy a couple of tickets, go online and buy a couple of tickets just to give to the charity. But if you do fancy this, I mean, it is a real rarity. I mean, look at it. It's a very handsome poster. I will sort out a frame for the winner, so you'll get it nice and framed. But if you do want to enter our Christmas charity raffle, I'll put all the details online tomorrow, so do go on. And perhaps if you can, just bung a £5 in or a tenner or whatever you can afford, really. Even, you never know, you might win one of these great prizes. So happy 5-year anniversary to Bengals UK. Yeah, I think we're going to bring in the chat now I had with Jimmy. I had to do this. If you don't know, my old friend Jim Bingham is also a Bengals fan. He lives out in Tokyo. And, of course, this Tailgate is all about food as well as Bengals stuff and fun and ridiculousness. And Jimmy lives out in Tokyo, as I mentioned, so I had to pre-record this because of the time differences and whatnot. But Jimmy is a massive fan of hot sauce, and he's going to tell us how to make hot sauces. So settle back and enjoy this video of me freezing quite often for no reason and Jimmy talking about hot sauces. Yes, as promised, we're joined live. Well, it's not live. I'm pre-recording this because Jimmy here is in Tokyo, and obviously we had to do a recording that kind of fits the time zones and all the rest of it. But Jimmy, good to see you again, man. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me, Paul. It's always an absolute honour to be on here. Thank you.
We're talking about hot sauces this week, and I saw on your Facebook page, if you don't know, me and Jimmy go back a long way, and we've been friends for a long time. And I saw on your Facebook page that you have begun cooking or making your own hot sauces. Now, that's something I didn't know about you. So where did all that come from? Where did the love of hot sauces come from?
So basically, it's all born out of lockdown. Like last year, one of my friends in Tokyo, he had a massive bush of like ghost peppers, and we started like making some hot sauces. And then in lockdown, I thought, well, I've got nothing else to do, so I might as well experiment, because I'm really into cooking, but I've never made my own sauces. So I started to get some recipes together and then refine them, and that's what sort of happened now. And then there's like a group of 3 of us who are hopefully getting like a company together to.
Wow, really?
Yes, yeah. We're going through, like, in Japan, there's so many sort of administrative stages to go through, but we're looking into the viability of doing it. Yeah. So it should.
Wow, I did not know that. So have you always been a fan of hot sauces then? Is that something you always enjoyed?
Again, it's something that I have like organically fallen into. Like, I don't know, like a mid-90s heroin addiction or something like this. You know what I mean? It's like it hasn't been planned. It's just happened. Like I was never like a big spicy food fan, but I mean the peppers that I use for the sauces, like I grow them myself in the garden and everything. So it's just like the whole holistic thing that I'm really into. So yeah.
So talk to us about the peppers and the chilies. You grow them in your garden, and are they ghost peppers, or are they what kind of breed?
So,
I don't know what you call them. But...
what brand?
Yes.
So luckily, like in Japan, it's a really hot and humid summer, so it works really well with the peppers. So here we've been growing Carolina Reapers, some Trinidad 7-pot, the ghost pepper, and some orange habanero peppers. And they're all really, really spicy. But the conditions in Japan is perfect, man. Like from March to, I mean, I've still got one plant that's growing now, and it's December.
Right.
So it's like a 7-month growing season. So it's advantageous over here.
And they just by the names, they sound absolutely fearsome. Are they?
Yes.
Yes.
They certainly are. I don't know, like one thing that I would recommend to anybody who's into hot sauces, if you watch like the YouTube series Hot Ones, which is it's really brilliant. It's a guy who interviews loads of like very, very, very famous celebrities, and they have like progressively hotter hot sauces on wings, and it sort of disarms them, and he asks like really personal questions because they're so like sort of buzzing in a way and disarmed. They give like really honest answers that you wouldn't get from a normal interview. I
have seen a few episodes of those, and it is very funny. Just
really good, isn't it?
The reactions of the people when they put these wings that get progressively hotter and hotter.
They're fantastic. My favorite, I think Paul Rudd was my favorite one. I think he's really just a lovely fella. Like but Paul Rudd, and actually Paul Rudd for one reason, because he was just so lovely, even when he was like really hurting. My other favorite was Henry Rollins, because like Henry Rollins just like took them all and was just like, yeah, that's hot. He's obviously like burning inside, but was just like, yeah, I'm fine. You know, just the pure Rollins brand. It was great, really good.
Maybe in the future we'll get you to do a live Hot Ones Bengals UK tailgate episode at some stage in the future. How about that?
Oh man, that would be a dream. That would be a dream. I've got a few examples here that I could show you actually if you want.
Please, that'd be great.
Okay, so let me see. This is like we've been testing this one. This is the most popular one at the moment. This is pineapple, cumin, carrot, and ghost pepper. That's a really good one. That's pretty spicy. This is a new one that I've been doing. This is the orange and orange habanero. A little bit of carrot in there as well. Very, very sweet. However, the pièce de la résistance. This is something that I put together yesterday. Okay. This is a Caribbean style hot sauce, and basically I had my last harvest, and some of the peppers in the fridge were going a little bit off, so I had to make something with all of them. And I mashed up all of the spicy peppers with a little bit of mango, a little bit of pineapple, and some cilantro and some vinegar, and that's what that is here. This is really fearsome. It's amazing, but it does taste it in moderation. It's fantastic.
All right, let's go before I ask you what kind of stuff you would eat it with, because obviously it's not on its own. You just don't like guzz it like Homer Simpson or whatever. But so I pulled you some pictures from your Facebook. Don't worry, not those ones. So take us through how you would make a hot sauce, because this is number one, right? So it looks as though you just chuck everything in a blender, but what is in there?
Okay, so in this one, I think this is okay. So that one is is this one here. It's the pineapple cumin, and it has like the red in there is a Trinidad or a Reaper, I think. So with this one, you just put everything into a blender, and then you blend all the ingredients up. But then I would cook it for like maybe 15-20 minutes afterwards, just to make sure that it's going to be shelf stable, so it doesn't have to go in the fridge. You can just leave it on your shelf for like 6 months.
So in there we've got fruit, chilies. What else?
In there, there's like apple cider vinegar, the chili peppers, the fruit. There's like some brown sugar. There'll be some salt and also some cumin.
Right. And then you say you put it on the stove and cook it out for just on a low heat for what, 10, 15 minutes, something like that?
So you boil it through. You make sure that it's boiled, and then you would simmer it for maybe 10 or 15 minutes. It depends like how thick it is. Like you need to keep an eye on the consistency, but then you can change that. Like if it gets too thick, then you can put a little bit of water in there if you want, because like if you put water in hot sauce, it doesn't dilute the spiciness like as it were. It's just for the texture. So
it just sort of thins out the stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
We've got one. You've got like what we got there: 2 ghost peppers, some cumin in there.
Yeah, the 7-pot is the 7-pot. That's the 7-pot Trinidad pepper, and the reason why it's called a 7-pot is because 1 chili pepper can actually spice 7 pots of chili in Trinidad. So it's pretty full on.
Now we've got another Trinidad allspice and pear that you made. That's actually good. Is it kind of like a jerk seasoning that you get on? Is that something, or is it completely?
No, jerk is really really tricky. Like I wouldn't say it is jerk. Like one of my friends is from like Jamaica, and he's like an absolute expert in that sort of seasoning. This isn't anything to do with that at all. But it's slightly more simplified. But again, it's with the same pepper. It's with like it's with the Trinidad 7-pot. But the allspice is what makes it really. I don't know, that's the most important ingredient, I think. The pear is really sweet. The pepper is very very hot, and the allspice sort of balances it out. So, but again, it's a lot to do with the type of vinegar. The vinegar that you use and the spices makes it quite different. Yeah.
Okay, let's wrap this up, Jimmy. What now? Once you make your hot sauce. How long after making it can you kind of eat it? Can you go and eat it? Is it kind of, do you have to leave for a couple of days just for everything to calm down, or can you go for it straight away?
It's a really good question, man. Like it depends. It depends on the sauce. But what I would usually do is I would try not to touch it for 2 weeks, because you need to let all the sort of different elements like meld. Like usually some sauces, they get spicier when you leave them for 2 weeks. Some of them get mellower. It just completely depends on the way the ingredients like react to each other. But I would tend to leave them for 2 weeks in the fridge, and then we can keep them for 6 months after that.
And what do you like to eat it with? Would you put it on meat and burgers and whatever? What do you do?
Well, okay, so here's the Carolina Reaper ketchup that I've made, which is just like a normal ketchup. It is like it's really really fiery. I would have that on my omelet. With the orange, I'd probably go with that on some avocado on toast. The cumin, I don't know, maybe with some chicken. This one here, the Trinidad allspice and pear, that pairs beautifully with pork. The Caribbean, this is a different thing.
That's basically a weapon, isn't it? Really, you wouldn't.
Yeah, this is still in its like sort of embryonic stages at the moment, but I don't know. But again, maybe with like some chicken wings, it would be fine. Yeah. So usually with a hot sauce, what you want is like some oily, bland, not bland, but like like an oily meat, but something that's fatty and oily, because it gives it like a nice foundation and base to work off.
Wow. Well, Jimmy, thank you very much. It's been nice knowing you. I hope you don't do yourself a mischief with all that hot sauce. Remember to wash your hands before you touch anything sensitive, won't you?
Well, the last time I made, there was one of these, and I did completely forget to wash my hands. Went for a little tinkle. Ball sore. Yeah, it was like proper full on ball sore. But yeah, we learn, my friend.
We learn, and we carry on making hot sauces. Jimmy, thank you so much, man. All the best.
Unbelievable.
From Jimmy there.
I mean, some of those sound like chemical warfare. Some of those. I mean, some serious stuff there. I tell you what, if he's not recorded this, odds on Tom McDowell is going to contact you, Paul, and ask you to send him a copy of that video so that he can get some of those recipes.
Makes a change from the other video requests he makes, quite frankly. Tom has messaged and he said, I'd love to try this. Matthew Morris, who we'll be hearing from shortly, they all sound absolutely banging. David Miller has been in touch again. Hello, David and Tracy. Good evening, everyone. Bengals 21-17 today. Shawarma chicken, flatbread, roasted peppers this evening. Well, look at that.
Nice.
We're sort of, time is running away from it. I said it was going to be a packed show, and it really is. We've got Moz's beer video to come and all sorts of things. But just a quick sentence about hot sauces, Mike. Are you a fan? Because I'm not. I'm scared. I'm genuinely scared of hot sauces and whether they will dissolve my innards, basically, and whether I'll go on some sort of home. Have you ever seen that episode of The Simpsons where Homer Simpson has his kind of chili, goes for the hottest chili, and he goes on some hallucinogenic trip through the desert and meets imaginary foxes? That's what I think might happen to me. Are you a fan of hot sauces, Mike?
Well, I do like it. I enjoy a hot sauce, but remember, I'm a bit of late developer with hot sauces. I mean, I was brought up in Lancashire where the motto is bland is best. Bland is best. There's never really many hot sauces in my life. I suppose I'm not into like the custom ones or the homemade ones that Jamie was showing then. I do like Frank's, and rather commercial. I'm sure that plenty of people in this chat now are swearing at me. But yeah, I'm willing to give them a try. Like chicken with wings, with pork, anything like that. But yeah, I'll give them a go. My worry isn't necessarily about the heat; it's more the consequences the following day.
Yes, moving swiftly on. Pete, what about you? Are you?
No, I'm the same as you, but not for the same reasons. I like the taste of the meat, and I don't like it being covered by something else. So if there's a hot sauce, the heat's going to take it over. If it's a hot sauce with some very strong flavors, I'm tasting those flavors, not the meat. And so for that reason, I don't. And maybe I'm a little bit of a coward as well.
Obviously, you'll need, if you're going to go for a hot sauce, you need something to drink it down with. So here's time for our resident beer expert, Moz, to recommend another 2 beers for you. So here's Moz.
Hello Bengals Nation, Moz here with 2 new beers for you guys to try. I'm going to be happy, I'm going to be smiley for as long as possible until I get to the Bengals, because however we try to coat up, it's not that positive at the minute. But these 2 beers are a positive because they're very good beers. One is more for a sessionable drinking session, but it's more for game day to enjoy. The other one is a Christmas beer, and it is more for Christmas Day, obviously. First beer I recommend, I mentioned this brewery before, they're based in Hartlepool, they're called Don Zocum. It is called Northern Helles Lager, it's 4.2. And with this, you can expect the traditional lager flavours. It's crisp, it's refreshing, it is bready, it's got New Zealand hops in, so it gives a nice floral taste, and for someone like me who drinks a lot of hoppy beers, it's a really nice bridge gap to drinking lagers. I don't mind a good, just normal lager with just general hops in, but it is useful for someone like me. Not me, but someone like me. So, yeah. Traditional lager drinks, I think you'll be wowed by it. It's not the cheapest. You can get them from Don Zoca's website. A pack of 12 is 41 quid, so it's about £3.60 a can. But they also do packs of 28. And I think this one, they do a pack of 40 They're 24 and 48. That's it. But I think there's another beer. They do a pack of 84. Concerning if you're a lone person, but you know, not here to judge. You can, if you really want to buy 84 cans of beer. You've got the money, and two, you know, it's your life, whatever. But you know, that's that. The second beer I recommend is a beer from St. Bernardus. It's St. Bernardus Christmas Ale. It's 10%. It is like a traditional Christmas beer you get, so the dried fruits, the spices, you know, the cinnamon and clove and stuff like that. But it's got honey in there. There's sweetness in there. It is, you know, it is traditional, but it is fantastically well made. It is fantastically brewed. It is just a high quality version of the crap that gets served over here during Christmas. Yeah, it is one of them beers you sip, take your time with a, you know, a big nice cigar, or if you smoke, in that case. I don't personally. I used to have a cigar at Christmas, but so I get the, you know, the imagery very well because I used to do it myself. But perfect beer for that type of moment. Price wise, you're talking roughly about £4. Might be a bit less, might be a bit more, depending where you are. But that's the general price on the internet at the minute. They're two beers I recommend. Now, smile. The Bengals. This game is actually really interesting. I think a lot of Bengals fans would have seen Miami as very similar. If anything, I think Bengals fans and a lot of people would have seen the Bengals as a better scenario than Miami. But I think Miami have got a really good head coach in Brian Flores, which makes a nice, which I'm sure Belichick would appreciate, because most of his coaching staff don't turn out very well as head coaches. Miami were going to be better than they have been, but they've really pushed on this year. They look a really decent team, which is quite annoying. As I say, I think there's a lot of similarities there. I think the paths we're on the same track. Well, we're on the same line. They're out next to each other, but they're pushing along like a Pendolino, and we're a crappy northern rail, you know, East Midlands train that's just derailed as well. So it's even worse. But that's where we are. I'm glad Brandon Allen will play today. I don't think it was that bad a performance from him. He got let down by bad play calls. There was a lot of them from Zach. But I think that the receivers let him down at times. He had some really easy catches which were unexcusably dropped. And then when we did, especially in the second one, when we did finally, you know, connected with the wide receiver, the O-line just did something stupid, and we ended up getting 10 yards back. And he's one of them games, and I think with another week, I appreciate a quarterback who has got some bollocks on him and has got a decent arm and is willing to be brave. I'd rather that than cowardly Finley. But that's the end of that. No negativity. Smile. Hooday.
Well, there we go. Thank you to Moz for an excellent beer recommendation video. We're going to be talking predictions in a moment. We're going to bring Adam, our resident betting expert, in as well. Pete, have you got the inactives for the game today?
We've got quite a few. Hang on. I had them up. We've got quite a few on the offensive line are out. Redmond, Sutherland, and Johnson.
Yeah.
It's just stepped away from me. And of course, the one person that you always look for, he too is inactive, Mr. Siebert.
We've got to get him on the podcast one week, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, also credit to someone has to go and get his shirt. Be on the podcast wearing his shirt with his number and his name on it.
If you go out and buy a shirt with Austin Siebert's number and name on it, we will reimburse you the money. How about that? There's a deal. Tua is playing.
Yes.
And Darius Phillips is playing as well. So at least we'll have some a bit of help in the secondary. And it's time for, I say it's been a packed show today, but we've only got a few minutes left, 10 minutes left. So it's prediction time. So we do want to hear your predictions for the game. Tell us where it's going to be won and lost, and what your thoughts are. And while you're thinking about that, let's bring in our betting expert, Adam, for a bit of jibber jabber.
Hooday, Bengals fans. Week 13 of the NFL season, we travel down to Miami to take on the Dolphins. The Dolphins are 10.5-point favourites with a total of 42.5 on this game. I like us to cover the spread on this one. I don't think we're being treated very nicely with a double-digit spread against Tua. Tua should be starting for the Dolphins. It should have been Burrow versus Tua, which would have been brilliant, a battle of the rookies, and Burrow would have shown his talent. But we're stuck with Brandon Allen, who looked all right last week against a decent defense. He plays against a decent defense again today. So it's a little bit of a worry with me through the passing game. I think we should get at them on the ground, but we don't seem to be establishing the run, which is really quite annoying. Gio obviously is probably going to be leading back. His rushing line is set at 48.5 and he's 19-10 to score. He's scored in both games against Miami, including that remarkable 75-odd yarder a couple of years back, which has been doing the highlight reels all week. If like Sam Ainger, you think that Samaje Perine's going to outrush him, you can get 17.5 yards for Samaje this week and a pretty impressive 17-2 for him to score anytime. As I say, attacking the middle of the field should be where we look to go here. So Perine does make sense as more of a basher down the middle. Again, the passing game, I think we're going to struggle, but it looked like T. Higgins was the man that he wanted to aim for last week. Unfortunately, it looked like Allen was only really accurate about 20 yards down the field. But T. Higgins, 50.5, his rushing line. Boyd, 51.5. AJ Green, 27.5. Fortunately, you got to look under on AJ nowadays. Drew Sample, Sam Ainger reckons he's going to have a decent game. 22.5 for him. And Mike Thomas, if you think he'll get a catch, you can get over 3.5 yards receiving for him. Randy Bullock, over 5.5 kicking points is one that I quite like. Just a couple of field goals. I think we're going to struggle to move the ball, unfortunately. So, yeah, him to get a couple of field goals. You can get 4 to 5 on over 5.5 kicking points for him. That's about it, really. Again, I like us to cover the spread. I think we'll keep it close. I don't think Tua's going to move the ball too much on us. It's just limiting turnovers, and fingers crossed we'll be able to do that. But we shall see. Yeah, hooday. Let's look forward to an entertaining game.
Many thanks to Adam there. And of course, if you are going to have a little flutter today, please do bet responsibly. Jamie Rowe says, I can't see anything other than pain today. 7+ sacks and offensive incompetence. Finns 20, Bengals 3. Mike, how are you feeling about this game? Do you share that opinion from
Oh, I think it'll be closer than what Jamie has just as predicted. I take it Sheffield United have played today as well, which may sum up his mood. I don't think we'll win. I didn't have us down. I've not had us down as a win for quite some time. It's nothing to do with Tua. It's more to do. I think I quite rate the Miami defense, and just quite simply, without Burrow, you're throwing Brandon Allen in there. I just don't think that we're going to have enough, enough to trouble them today. AJ isn't the same. The stats show that this season. We have struggled to implement the run, and I think against a defense like Miami, we're not going to be able to take too much time off the clock. They're going to probably have plenty of chances to score. So I think it's more to the point that just by the sheer fact that they'll have so much more of the ball clockwise, they'll just inevitably they'll inevitably score 20 points. But I think we'll cover the spread. So I reckon it'll be about like 21-17 Miami.
Pete, what about you?
No disgrace. It won't be a disgraceful performance. It'll just be that they had the better team on the day, and that's it.
Well, I tend to be fairly positive. I'm not in this game, I have to say. We had to rely upon exceptional special teams last week, and the defense largely playing out of their skin for large parts of the game just to stay close. And we did keep it close. We really did. We had a shot right at the end there. But we can't expect that to do that every week. We're going to need to step up on offense, and I can't see the passing game at the moment Nothing last week suggests that the passing game will be there, and the running game just hasn't been there all season. Sadly, I have us losing 24-13. We'll get a 8 touchdown and a couple of field goals. I quite like that bet about Randy Bullock 5+ points, but now I'm 24-13. I'm afraid.
Yeah, I tend to agree with both of you. Really, I think it'll be. I mean, it is amazing, isn't it? You know, these teams were in similar positions. The point has been made, actually. These two teams, very similar positions last year, and look at where they both are this season. You know, yes, we've had some catastrophic injuries, but Miami, you know, stripped their assets, rebuilt. They've got a really good head coach who's, you know, and their defensive scheme is kind of, you know, if you thought we did badly against Baltimore with all those kind of exotic blitzes and whatnot, wait till we see Miami and their zero blitzes, and that doesn't kind of really make me very confident that we can handle that. And you're right, it's just going to be difficult to see how we move the ball this week, really. You would expect Brandon Allen to be better than last week after another week's worth of practice. You'd hope so. So yeah, I think you guys are right. I think it's going to be close. I think we'll lose, but you know, you just want. I think actually we'll do okay stopping Miami. On, you know, their offense. I don't, you know, Miami are a good team, but they're not there yet. I don't think they're amazing by any stretch of the imagination. It'd be really interesting to see Tua, and as Adam said earlier, such a shame that that Joe and Tua won't be facing off today. But yeah, I see the Dolphins winning. I hope that we make improvements on offense. Otherwise, it could be a really long day. But we'll see.
The zero blitz is quite, as you said, exotic. But the counter to that is get the ball out very, very quickly. And I think that's what we'll do. I think it's not going to stay in Brandon Allen's hands that long. I
think if Joe was playing, that would be absolutely no problem, because his kind of processing speed and his ability to get the ball out quickly, it was improving every week. I mean, you saw against Washington before the catastrophe happened, how quickly he was getting the ball out against people like Sweat and Young and all those guys on that offensive line was really fantastic. So
one of the things which frustrates me at this time when we're going nowhere at this stage, forget the offensive plan for Joe Burrow because Joe Burrow's not there. Let's get exotic. There's no jet sweeps. There's no flea flicker. I know we've not got the quarterback there, but you see so many other teams come up with some exotic plays. We don't. We seem very, very vanilla in our offensive game plan. Let's try something. Let's just mix it up. Give them something to think about. Send someone deep. Toss a couple of balls deep. Let's try something.
And they're going to need some interesting motions and shifts because their pass defense is really good, and their kind of ability to create turnovers is really high as well.
More screens.
I don't know. We'll see what happens. Let's end the show on a positive note. Let's see our entry or installment of our Bengals UK Advent calendar to make you all a bit Christmassy.
'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the town not a creature was stirring, not even a brown. The steelers were hung by the chimney by towels in the hope that the wind streak would soon come to an end. The fans were all nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of Super Bowls danced in their heads, and Nathan in his kerchief and Paul in his cap had settled their podcast for a long winter's nap. When out on the pitch there arose such a clatter, I sprang from my bed to see what was the matter. And what did my wondering eyes should appear? Joe Burrow on his one decent leg and his gear, more rapid than ravens. His course as they came, they whistled and shouted, and he called them by name. Now Mixon, now Tyler, now AJ and Gio, on Jesse, on Gino, on Randy and Huber. And off into the night he went with a hooday to all, and to all a good night.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
That was Nigel Granger from Mansfield there, and his adorable daughter, who it was getting well into that story, I think. Fantastic facial expressions there. from Nigel's daughter. We'll be rolling out the advent calendar entries throughout the week and obviously every day until Christmas Eve. Nathan and I will be back tomorrow evening with another new episode of the podcast. I'll put up the details for the charity raffle, so please, if you can spare any cash, go and buy yourself a couple of tickets. You never know, you might be the winner of a fantastic signed, very rare, fantastic signed Bengals poster, you know, all the rookies there from 2019. So look out for that on our social media feed. Pete, thanks again for joining us, and Mike as well. It's lovely to see you guys.
Pleasure.
Nice seeing you. Today.
And we will see you next week when it's the return of the Ginger Prince to Brown Stadium. And we can't wait. So enjoy the game today if you possibly can, and we'll speak soon.
Good day.